Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another set of discussion for today's conference. I am Crystal Jane Betarmos and one of your guest speaker for today's conference, and it's my honor and privilege to be invited as one of your speaker for today's discussion, which will I give input about the topic assessing social studies and learning. So I guess all of you here or most of you here are future social studies educator, and that is why I'm going to deal with the assessment in the context of social studies. Specifically, we will be going to deal with the curriculum guide of social studies or Araling Panlipunan. So along this discussion, we will be going to explore the what, why, and hows of assessment. So along the process of this discussion, we will going to use the carousel activity. It's a type of cooperative learning where we will be going to undergo with different stations, which are the station 1 pertains to the what of assessment, or we will explore there the what of assessment, and after that to the station 2, which is why of assessment, and the last is station 3, which is the hows of assessment. So are you ready? So I guess all are set. We will going to start my discussion. So before that, I want first to introduce my objectives for today's discussion. So the end of the session, we will be able to first define assessment in the context of social studies learning. Second, identify the what, why, and hows of assessment in social studies learning. And third is to discuss the importance of assessment in social studies learning. So I hope that at the end of the discussion, we will be able to achieve this objective successfully. So before we're going to deal the assessment in the context of social studies learning, we will define first what is assessment. So assessment is a process of collecting and analyzing information to evaluate someone's or something's performance, progress, or quality. It can be conducted for various purposes such as to measure learning outcomes, diagnose strengths and weaknesses, identify areas of improvement, or make decisions about future actions. So assessment is very important, especially in the part of educators in the educational process. For it diagnose strengths and weaknesses through assessment. We will be able to diagnose or ma-diagnose mo kung ano yung strengths and weaknesses of someone's performance, especially the student's performance. And because of that, we will be going to identify or maka-identify ta of what area or asa na area ang dapat pa mas i-improve na could be somehow become the basis kung unsa ang decision nga ihimo para mas ma-improve to in order to make future actions to enhance that performance or that result of actions. So now that we already identified what is assessment, so we will proceed now to our first station, which is the what of assessment in the context of social studies curriculum. Especially, we will going to assess the curriculum guide of Araling Panlipunan. So first question is, what is assessment in the social studies learning? What are the key concepts and topics covered in social studies curriculum? So as you see here, this is the conceptual framework of Araling Panlipunan, which it comprises the topics and concepts that we will be going to deal in the Araling Panlipunan curriculum guide. So social studies curriculum is a broad field of study that encompasses a variety of topics related to human behavior and society. The specific concepts and topics covered in social studies curriculum may vary depending on the educational level and the specific curriculum being used. And here in DepEd, ang ating pong ginagamit ay ang K-12 curriculum guide, which each level or educational level from kinder to grade 12 ay may iba't ibang topic or concept na nakapaloob doon. So overall, social studies curriculum aims to provide students with a comprehensive understanding of the world around them, as well as the skills and knowledge needed to be responsible and engaged citizens in their communities and beyond. And that is why yun yung content or concepts na nakapaloob doon sa curriculum, kasi yun yung aim ng social studies curriculum. So in this station also, we will be going to deal with what is the purpose of assessing social studies curriculum? Kasi kung iisipin natin, bakit kailangan pang i-assess yung curriculum guide ng Araling Panlipunan? Kasi kung masasabi natin na standardized na yung paggagawa nun. But however, it is standard but not perfect. Kasi nga, sinabi ng assessment, a definition ng assessment kanina na assessment enables to diagnose strengths and weaknesses and also identify areas of improvement. So, it's a very important na you should really assess the curriculum guide, kahit ang curriculum guide, kasi in order to identify kung ano yung areas ng curriculum guide na need pa i-improve. So, assessment is a critical component of any educational program as it allows educators to measure the effectiveness of their teaching methods and identify areas where students may need additional support. So in the context of social studies, so there are purposes why or what is the purposes of assessing social studies curriculum. It is to measure student learning, to evaluate instructional effectiveness, kung yung mga instructional na ginagamit sa curriculum guide or nakapaloob ay effective ba. Third is to monitor or monitoring curriculum implementation, yung implementation ba ng curriculum is effective din ba, and meeting standards, kung na-meet ba yung standards na sinaset ng curriculum guide doon sa nilalayo ng AP curriculum. So, for instances, so what resources are provided to support student learning? Are there textbooks, primary sources, digital resources, or other materials that support diverse representative of different perspectives and experiences? So, kung makikita natin, galing ito sa curriculum guide ng AP curriculum. So in this part, sa learning materials, dito natin makikita kung ano yung mga materials na ipino-provide in order to support student learning. So, like here, may mga textbooks, primary sources, digital resources, or other materials in order that to support diverse representative of different perspectives and experiences. However, siguro kung i-integrate natin ngayon or sa modern education, mas maganda siguro kung may mga link dito kung galing ba sa YouTube, ganyan, para mas mabigyan ng opportunity yung mga estudyante na mag-find ng information from other sources. So now that we are done with the first station, so we already tackled about the what of assessment. So what are the contents and concepts covered in the social studies curriculum guide? What is the purpose of assessing social studies in learning? So now we will going to proceed to the station 2, which is the why of assessment. So why was this particular content chosen? Does it seek and develop critical thinking, civic engagement, social justice, or other important skills and values? So malalaman natin kung bakit yung mga content kanina or bakit yung mga concepts na kanina, yun yung pinili or yun yung chosen concept na in-include sa curriculum guide ng social studies. So, the content chosen in social studies curriculum is typically selected for a variety of reasons, including its relevance to students' lives and experiences, its importance in shaping the world around us, and its alignment with national or state standards. And here are some specific reasons why particular content may be chosen in social studies curriculum. So first, historical significance. So historical events and figures are often included in social studies curriculum because of their significance in shaping the world we live in today. By studying history, students can give a better understanding of how events and decisions from the past continue to impact our society and culture today. So that is why sa grade 7 and grade 8, malalaman natin dyan ang Asian Studies, World History, because that is one of the content na in-include sa curriculum. So second, relevance to students' lives. So social studies curriculum often includes topics that are relevant to students' lives and experiences. For example, topics related to government, economics, and personal finance can help students better understand how to navigate the world around them and make informed decisions. So third, civic responsibility. So social studies curriculum often includes content related to civic responsibility, so such as the rights and responsibilities of citizens, the structure and function of government, and the importance of community involvement. So by learning about these topics, students can become informed and engaged citizens who are prepared to contribute to their communities and the wider world. And the last is cultural diversity, of course. So social studies curriculum often includes content related to cultural diversity, such as the history and contributions of different racial and ethnic groups. So the impact of cultural exchange and migration, the importance of valuing and celebrating diversity. So by learning about these topics, students can gain a better understanding of the diverse world around them and develop empathy and respect for different cultures and perspectives. Kasi matutunan ng estudyante na i-respect or embrace yung culture ng ibang grupo ng tao na nasa kanyang lipunan. So, the content chosen for social studies curriculum is typically selected to provide students with a comprehensive understanding of the world around them and prepare them to be informed, responsible, and engaged citizens. Why was there is need to assess the social studies curriculum? So like kanina, what is the purpose of curriculum? May mga purpose or what is the purpose of assessing social studies curriculum? Now, mas i-dig deeper natin why was there is really need to assess the social studies curriculum or the curriculum guide in Ariling Panlipunan. It was because there are several common errors that can be found in the content of the curriculum guide in social studies. So here are some examples. First, inaccurate or outdated information. So may mga information na nakalagay doon na outdated or hindi siya masyadong recent and inaccurate yung information, especially may mga date na nakalagay doon na inaccurate siya. Second, lack of diversity and inclusivity. So there are certain content na lack of diversity and inclusivity, and remember that one of the aim of social studies curriculum is to promote cultural diversity. Say for example, in the textbooks na may mga situation na masyadong nadidiscriminate yung ibang paniniwala or kultura ng ibang tao. So next is overemphasis on memorization or masyadong nagfo-focus lang sa memorization or cognitive na domain lang, hindi masyado nabibigyan ng halaga yung performance standard ng social studies na content, and that is why kadalasan masasabi ang social studies ay isang boring na subject kasi mas naglalaan ng mas malaking parte yung pag-overemphasis sa memorization of facts or information. So next is inadequate integration of technology. So inadequate or hindi masyadong na nagagamit or na-integrate yung technology in a right way. Next is the failure to address current issues. Yung mga napapanahong issue na ngayon is hindi siya masyadong na-address. So, and the last is lack of alignment with assessment. So, lack of alignment or wala siyang connection or hindi siya naka-align kung ano yung goal. Like kanina sinabi ko, kung ano yung goal ng social studies curriculum. So now that we are done with the second station, we will proceed now to the third station or the last station, which is the how of assessment. So how is curriculum designed to be taught? So curriculum design in social studies is similar to the process described like yung mga kanina kung ano yung basihan, bakit yun yung mga concepts or content na in-include sa curriculum guide. So with some specific considerations related to the subject matter and the goals of social studies education. So here are some key steps in the process of designing a social studies curriculum to be taught. So first, identify relevant concepts and themes. So social studies curriculum typically focuses on key concepts and themes such as democracy, citizenship, culture, and globalization. So the first step in designing a social studies curriculum is to identify these concepts and themes and determine how they will be integrated into the curriculum. Second is to determine scope and sequence. Once the key concepts and themes have been identified, the social studies curriculum design team will determine the scope and sequence of the curriculum. This involves identifying what historical events, geographic regions, and cultural groups will be covered and in what order they will be presented in order to present it na mas comprehensive at mas madaling maintindihan ng mga estudyante. So next is select instructional methods. So the next step is to select instructional methods that are aligned with the key concepts and themes and are appropriate for the target audience. So this may involve selecting textbooks, creating lesson plans, or developing multimedia resources like mag-incorporate ba ng video sa klase. So next is incorporate primary and secondary sources. So social studies curriculum often incorporates primary and secondary sources such as historical documents, artifacts, and scholarly articles to provide students with first-hand accounts and different perspectives on historical events and cultural practices. So next is develop assessment strategies. So the social studies curriculum design team will also develop assessment strategies to measure student learning and progress. This may involve creating quizzes, like that, tests, projects, or other assessments. And the last is incorporate global perspectives. So social studies curriculum often incorporates global perspectives such as the interconnectedness of nations and cultures, the impact of globalization, and the importance of global citizenship. So the curriculum design team will ensure that the curriculum incorporates these perspectives and prepares students to be informed and engaged global citizens. So overall, designing a social studies curriculum to be taught involves careful planning, selection of appropriate instructional methods and assessment strategies, and a focus on key concepts and themes that are relevant and engaging for students. So the curriculum should emphasize inquiry and critical thinking skills and incorporate global perspectives to prepare students to be informed and engaged citizens of the world. So how do the recommended instructional strategies and methods align with the goals of the curriculum? So the recommended instructional strategies and methods in social studies curriculum are designed to align or i-design siya to align or makonect siya sa goals of the curriculum and support student learning of key concepts and themes o kung ano yung content na nandun sa curriculum. So here are some examples of how instructional strategies and methods align with the goals of social studies curriculum. So first is the use of inquiry-based learning. So social studies curriculum often emphasizes inquiry-based learning, which involves asking questions, gathering and analyzing evidence, and constructing arguments. So this aligns with the goal of developing critical thinking and preparing students to be engaged and informed citizen. Kasi isa sa mga goal ng curriculum guide ng Araling Panlipunan is to develop the critical thinking skills of the students. So next is the project-based learning. So social studies curriculum often incorporates project-based learning, which involves students working on complex projects that require them to apply their knowledge and skills in a real-world context. So this aligns with the goal of developing problem-solving skills and preparing students for active citizenship. Next is cooperative learning. So social studies curriculum often incorporates cooperative learning, which involves students working together in groups to complete tasks or solve problems. So this aligns with the goal of developing collaboration skills and preparing students for active citizenship. So next is the use of primary and secondary sources. So social studies curriculum often incorporates primary and secondary sources such as historical documents, artifacts, and scholarly articles to provide students with first-hand accounts and different perspectives on historical events and cultural practices. So this aligns with the goal of developing research and analysis skills and preparing students to be informed and critical thinkers. And the last is the use of technology. So, social studies curriculum often incorporates technology such as online research tools and multimedia resources in order to enhance student learning and engagement. And this aligns with the goal of preparing students to be technologically literate and able to navigate the complex information landscape of the 21st century, especially that we are now in the modern education where technology plays an essential role in every aspect of life. So, the instructional strategies and methods recommended in social studies curriculum are designed to align with the goals of the curriculum and support student learning of key concepts and themes. So they are intended to promote active and engaged citizenship by developing critical thinking, problem solving, collaboration, research, and analysis skills. So next is, how are assessment and evaluation addressed in the curriculum? So are there clear criteria and rubrics for evaluating student learning, and are there opportunities for ongoing feedback and reflection? So may mga clear criteria ba or rubrics na nakalagay doon in order to evaluate student learning? So, assessment and evaluation are important components of social studies curriculum. So, they are typically addressed in several ways. So, here are some examples of how assessment and evaluation are addressed in social studies curriculum. So, first is clear criteria and rubrics. So, social studies curriculum often includes clear criteria and rubrics for evaluating student learning. These criteria and rubrics outline what students should know and be able to do in order to demonstrate mastery of a particular concept or skill. So say for example, a rubric for evaluating a student's research project might include criteria such as the quality of the sources used, the clarity of the argument, and the effectiveness of the presentation. So next is opportunities for ongoing feedback and reflection. So social studies curriculum often includes opportunities for ongoing feedback and reflection. This might include peer review, teacher feedback, or self-reflection activities. Say for example, students might be asked to evaluate their own work using a rubric and identify areas where they could improve. So next is different types of assessments. So social studies curriculum often includes different types of assessments such as tests, projects, essays, and presentations. So these assessments are designed to evaluate different types of knowledge and skills and provide a more comprehensive picture of student learning. And the last is aligning assessment with learning objectives. So this is very important that social studies curriculum aims to align assessment with learning objectives. So social studies curriculum often aligns assessment with learning objectives and performance expectations. So this ensures that assessments are measuring what students are expected to know and be able to do. So overall, assessment and evaluation are important components for social studies curriculum. Clear criteria and rubrics are used to evaluate student learning, and there are opportunities for ongoing feedback and reflection. Different types of assessment are used to measure different types of knowledge and skills, and assessments are aligned with learning objectives and performance expectations. So, this approach ensures that students are adequately prepared and evaluated for success in the subject area. So I guess that ends my discussion, and I hope you learned something from it. From different stations, the what, why, and hows of assessment. So before I end my discussion, I want to leave a quote from Daylan William that assessment is not an end in itself, but a vehicle for educational improvement. That's all. Thank you.